It would be artistically dishonest to force certain legends into a connection with one another, and to illustrate such connections by means of illustrations drawn from widely divergent periods. Our point of departure should not be the story of the legend, but its images. In this book, we have attempted for the first time to present the largest possible number of Greek illustrations of legends and to show them in their correct relationship both as regards the history of art and the history of thought. We want to learn, as it were, to read the pictures. From time to time, it will be necessary to relate the stories in order to elucidate the illustration. The chronological arrangements made in this book at the same time, a history of Greek narrative style, a study which has not as yet been made. In examining a work of art, we have to distinguish three elements: the contents, the form, the composition. As an example, we have chosen the plate, now in London, of which Menelaus and Hector are depicted fighting over the fallen Euphorbus. In this case, our interpretations of the picture aided by the inscriptions, but we will see that these are not alone or sufficient enough to provide a full understanding and, in many cases, are eventually misleading. Where there is no inscriptions, our only help lies in the comparison in other pictures which have already been interpreted, such as comparisons, even when applied to this apparently straightforward example, reveal an unexpected mystery. It is only through familiarity with a large number of other paintings that we can recognize that the Greek Menelaus is to the victor in this fight, since the movement of the victor is generally from left to right. The fallen warrior, however, usually lies on the side of his own party, his feet pointing towards to forward to show that he has been advancing towards an enemy and not turned to flee. Now, Euphorbus, the fallen warrior in this example, was a Trojan. This being so, why is he lying on the side of Menelaus? The answer is that the artist wished to indicate that Menelaus to have been a shield of Euphorbus, and this was in fact still displayed at a later period in the sanctuary of Hera in Argos as a dedication offering to Menelaus. The similarity of the decoration on Menelaus and Euphorbus shields is to also intended to indicate this. From a question of content, we have interceptibly moved on to the form of or composition. It is apparent that the interpretation of the theme peculiar to this work is related to its specific form. The two combatants, powerful individual figures, have been singled out from the turmoil of battle together with the fallen warrior. Menelaus is portrayed as somewhat the stronger. The figure of Hector displays less movement but is distinguished by an emblem of an eagle in the fighting of his shield. The manner in which the pictorial elements are joined on to one another in an archaic trait, whilst the simple power of the forms belongs to the high archaic phase. The network of gray decorations surrounding the figures is typically Eastern Greek. These indications a landscape are, however, at the same time connected with the actual weapon, which was felt to be very much a living entity. A sprain of volutes and palmates hangs down from the scene. On either side of its apex is an eye. Eyes are an age-old and widespread motif indicating to ward off evil, but on Greek pottery, they frequently symbolize the life which is felt to reside in the pot. The latter is not dead, but flowers in the decoration that looks out at us. By so describing the contents and the form of the work, we gain a clear understanding of something unique, which is given life in such a creation. This is its content or inner form. Only when the actual content revealed itself do we grasp the extratemporal significance of the creation. That which is our most intimate concern, and which has just had a continuous and productive effort throughout the ages, a mere examination of its contents would not do to justify a character of the work. A mere examination of its form would mean a failure to appreciate that the composition of the contents is an integral part of the form. When the question is regarded in this way, the change has occurred, and legend illustrations can only be understood through the history of art, along with the history of pottery. It stands as a source of its own right. In this book, we have restricted ourselves to illustrations which are Greek in a strict sense of the word. Where Italic Greek, Roman, and Etruscan legend illustrations are to be similarly treated, a separate book would be required for each subject, and these books would be no less illuminating than the present one. The first volume, which presents illustrations in early and high archaic phases, is to be followed by a second one devoted to late archaic and classical works. By its very restriction, this book may be service to the history of Greek literature, art, and religion, and may show that the illustrations of legend are important evidence to the changes in religious perception and, in fact, of intellectual development in general.